So in the previous session, we discussed about what is Appium and all that stuff. Fine. So now in this class, what we will be studying about, we will be dealing about how to configure this Appium on real device. Fine. So this will be our first thing, that how to configure it, how to use it. Similarly, we will be working at what is real device, how to get that real device. So this session, it will be more of that, how to download and run Appium. Fine. We are good with the basics that, okay, this is Appium and all that stuff. Now what we need to do is, now we need to download it and run it. Fine. So before going with that purpose, let me make a small pictorial representation. Okay. So look, on a nutshell, like what is Appium and how it encapsulates the stuff. So what I'll do here is, this is, you can say, my computer, and this one is my phone. Okay, and inside my computer I have Android as well as Appium present. So this is okay. Just wait for a second. Let me make this pictorial representation. Then I'll explain you about the whole stuff. Okay. So on the similar ground, look, I'm making some arrows. So what these arrows correspond is how the stuff will interact with each other. Like how Android will interact with Appium, and in return how Appium will interact to your mobile phone. Okay, and this is my computer. So what does this depict? This whole pictorial representation, this says that this encapsulates that Appium requires, fine, Android in order to interact with your Android phone. Okay, let me write here Android phone. So it is a requirement. Look, we will be having Appium in our machine. So Appium requires Android, and with the help of that Android, it will interact with your Android phone. Similarly, Appium will require iOS, in case of iOS, to interact with your iPhone. Fine. Currently, I would be only focusing on Android because now we're just covering Android. Fine. So just for your knowledge, I'm telling you that for iPhone also the procedure would be same. So this is the way how this Appium works. Fine. And yesterday I was talking of some API levels and all that stuff and Android version. Fine. Now I'll just try to encapsulate the stuff more. We'll go in more depth. So I was also talking about, if you can say, like API versions. And here I have API level. So similarly, I have different versions that are being present in the market, like first of all 4.0, and 4.0 is having name Jelly Bean. Fine. Similarly, in the market I have 5.0, and 5.0 has name Lollipop. Like 6.0 with the name Marshmallow, and the latest one is 7.0 with the name of Nougat. Guys, you might be aware of this fact, like what is 4.0, what is 5.0, but still I'm just referring it because now I'll link with this versions with the API level. Look, I was trying to explain you the same stuff yesterday also. I just try to give a nutshell that how what is this, how this API level is this and what is this. Now I'll explain that how this API level and this name are linked to that stuff. Fine. So these are my different API versions. Even I was telling you yesterday also how the developers used to talk of the stuff. Fine. 15, similarly 16, sorry, similarly so on 19 and 25. I'm skipping 20, 21 and latest is the 25. Fine. So if I talk of this Nougat is compatible with this one, 25. Fine. Similarly, Marshmallow is till 24. We have 24 here. So Marshmallow is compatible with that. Fine. So look, developers, they used to talk in terms of API level only. You are all aware of it. Look, why I'm trying to explain or emphasize on this stuff again. The reason behind this is because in the next coming session, I would be talking in terms of API level, not in the terms of API versions. I will never say that, okay, this device is, you can say Marshmallow or this is 6.0. I will never say this. I will say, okay, I am targeting API level 21. Fine. If I'll say I am targeting API level 21 or API level 22, it automatically means that I am targeting this Marshmallow 6.0. Fine. In the long run, like if you are more perfect in your automation, your developers will also say that, okay, I have developed the app, fine, and I have set the minimum version to 16 and maximum to 21. Now you can just automate at your own. Then you would be covering, okay, it is from, you can say 4.0, minimum version is 16, then it is 4.0 till Nougat. Then then you can just make a judgment, okay, then I need to automate my test case in this sense. Fine. So that's why I'm trying to use more and more technical terms, so down the line you could be more familiar with this stuff. Fine. So if I talk of we also discussed about the API levels and all that stuff. Now another thing is sometimes while you are just automating your app or while you're just going for a manual testing also, you just try to test the app and we got some crash. And down the line developers don't use to get that crash. So we used to verbally communicate with them. Like suppose if I'm on a same location, I can just go to my developer and ask him, okay, boss, this is the crash and you need to fix it. But what if suppose my automation engineer is sitting in New York and the developer is sitting in London? Fine. Then how both will interact? Now they cannot just go to him and show him the crash. So what would be the way? The one way is he will just call him on his phone and he will say, okay, this is a crash. Another one is he'll go to the Skype and go that, but that are not the relevant method. So what is the most relevant method to show him, okay, your app is crashing at this instance of time? So for this, we have some tools. Fine. The tools that you can say that will show our screen. We can share our screen with the help of those tools to the developer. Likewise, you can see my screen. Fine. I have attached my Android phone. But look, you cannot see my Android phone right now. Fine. Anything can crash, anything can happen, but you cannot see that because you can only see my desktop screen. So how to do that? So for that, just you need to go to Google and type here Droid screen jar. Okay, and hit the enter button. Look, you need to go to this second link. This is a jar file. Fine. And what you need to do is you can download the 1.2 version. It is a beta version, but no issues. You can just download it and then it will be downloaded in your machine like this manner. It is downloaded here. Fine, like this. This is a jar. Droid add screen jar 1.2. Fine. This was the only that I downloaded. 1.2 only. Now I'll show you how to use it. So before that, what I'll do is I'll ping the same in the chat window. Fine. So that you can also just download it, and if you can just want to see that whether your phone is being detected or not, you can also check the same. So I have pasted the same in the common chat window. Fine. So what this Droid screen will do, first of all, look, I'm not configuring it right now. Just be with me. I'll also explain you how to configure it. Now I have just downloaded it. I have not configured it. I'll explain you down the line how to configure it. Then it will work for you. Fine. So if I come back, fine. I'll double click over it. Look, I'm saying again and again, I have configured it, so it will work for me. But for you, it will not work. Okay. I'll explain how to configure it. Look. I'm setting just the zoom level of this. Look, now you can see my device. This is my Android phone. Fine. Likewise, I can perform any function and that will be clear to you. Fine. This I'm playing around my device. Like if I go to about device. So similarly, I can test any app. I can just share my screen with my developer. I can test the app and show him. I can just show him the live crash. Okay, your app is crashing right here. Fine. So that would be more easy for you and for your developer to see. Okay, these are the steps, and app is crashing at this instance of time for this specific device. Fine. Even at the end, you can share the logs with him also. I'll explain you how to get the logs and share with logs with him. Because look, this will make the life of you and your developer more easy. Because sometimes some crashes are device specific. They only come on specific device, not on another. Like suppose I am using Samsung S5. For me, it could be crashing, but for sometimes for my developer, it is not crashing. The same device. So it is something. Some devices are some apps are or some crashes are only device specific. They come on a specific device. You might have encountered this issue. Many of you have encountered this. So this would be you can say this would be the steps that we will be following, that so that we can show our developer that here is a crash. Look, I would be showing him the app. I will be just going to the app. Like this is my screen 1, screen 2. He can see on my screen all that stuff, and then the app would crash. He will share. He can just see the you can say path what I followed to brought that crash. Another thing is down the line we would be installing Android Studio so that we can also share the crash logs with him. Because look, some developers used to work over logs. That okay, this is the log, and look, these are the different we have null pointer exception. I'll explain about all this stuff. Fine, don't get confused that what is this null pointer exception. I'll also explain about this stuff. But this is just for your knowledge that how because look, these tools were not present earlier. So these are the latest tools in the market. So I just want that you all should also get upgrade and use the latest one. Fine. So now what will I do is look in my phone. First of all, if I want to use my device and I want that it should be detected by my system, the first thing I have to do is I have to make myself as a developer. Fine. You all can see this developer options in my phone. I'll go back again to show you. Just go to your settings, scroll down, click over settings. Okay. Now in your settings, if you scroll down, you would be having an option of about device, and above that option Yes, Rajiv, this is my real device. That's why I'm showing you what this software, what this jar does is it connects your real device. This is not my dummy device. This is not a simulator or emulator. It is a real device only. Fine. That's why I was saying you that this would basically help you. Look, I can use emulator and simulator also, but that would be a pain for me. Because look at the end, like if you are also automation engineer, what you need to do is you will install that APK in your simulator or emulator, and then you will work. And sometimes like Google Maps never work on your emulator. Fine. So you need a real device for all that stuff. So I will be only using the real device. I won't be using any emulator or simulator for this stuff. Fine. So look, as you can see here, the developer options in my phone. Fine, because I have already activated it. But if you have your new phone, fine, you won't be able to see these developer options in your phone. So in order to become a developer, what you need to do is just click over this about device on your phone. Fine, guys, if you have your Android phone side by side, you can just follow the same mechanism along with me also. Just this mechanism. Fine. So click over your about device, and in your about device, we would be having a build number. Fine. You can see, let me scroll down. Yeah. This one. You can see this build number. Now what you need to do is you need to tap over this build number 7 times. Fine. So just be with me. I'm tapping it again. Look, while I was tapping over it, I was getting developer mode has already been turned on. In your case, it will give you your developer mode is activated. Okay, I have already activated it, so it is saying me that it is already on. But in your case, as you are not being a developer, so it will give another message. Fine. After tapping over it 7 times, I'll write a number here. 7 times. Okay. Tap over this build number 7 times. After that, what you need to do is you need to go back, and you would be presented with the option with the name of this developer options. Fine. So tap over this options. After you will tap over this option, what you need to do is you need to make some checklist. Fine. Now what is the checklist? First of all, you need to click over this USB debugging. Fine. You need to connect your phone with your system, and then just check this checkbox. After that, if you will look here, I have also checked this checkbox with the name of stay awake. Fine. Why I am just activating this? The reason behind this is, look, sometimes while I'm just you can say automating my app, or I'm working over my phone, and my phone is, you can say, attached to my system, the backlight goes off after a certain instance of time. Fine, like this manner. After, look, I'm not using my phone, it will get turned off. Fine. So like this. Now I did it manually, but in your case it will manually go off. Then you have to again unlock your phone and come back. So this is kind of a hassle. You need to do the stuff again and again. So in that case, we have an option of stay awake. Stay awake means that, like as the very name suggests, now your phone will never go to sleep until and unless it is connected to a cable. Fine. So this is the, you can say, this option is only present in the developer mode only. Fine. For normal people, this option is not present. This is only for the developers. So after activating this, look, we are good with this stuff. Like, okay, we have basically Android phone. We have enabled the proper developer options in our phone. Fine. So we have covered this aspect, enabling developer mode. Fine. Now what we need to do is, fine, now we need to go for Android installation. Fine. Now we'll install Android. We'll install JDK and all that stuff. Fine. JDK is for Java. So what will I do here is, so just go to Google and it's pretty simple. Just write download Java. Fine. And I think this is pretty simple task. Just go to this Oracle site. This is the official website of Java. I think you all are aware of this stuff. Fine. And like depending on your phone, depending on your system, fine, you can just download it. If it is Windows 64-bit or 32-bit, fine, you can download the stuff depending on your Windows. Whether it is a 34-bit Windows or 64-bit Windows, but I think most of the people have 64-bit only, so you can just download this the last one. Okay, if you want, I can also ping this in the common chat window. Okay, so look, after downloading Java, and look, I already have in my system. Yesterday I was talking of the stuff with the name of extensions. Look, as it is a Windows stuff, fine, I'm downloading it for Windows. Extension is .exe. Fine. Similarly, when I was talking of Android, it would be having option of .apk, and for iPhone it will be .ipa or .dmg. Fine. So different platforms have different extension because the OS, the operating system, understands only this extension. If it is .exe, now it will help us. It will help the OS to install the stuff smoothly. If the extension could be another like .amp or something like that, then system won't have installed this stuff. Fine. So all these extensions are system specific, or you can say operating system specific. Fine. So I'll simply just download it. Fine. And then install it. But it will take some time to install. So just go smoothly and install it. Fine. After downloading and installing Java, what is the next step? Look, we have kind of checklist. We need to go for 3 stuff: Java, Eclipse, and Android Studio. Then it comes. The Appium will also come, but Appium will come at end. So we are good with Java. Now the next step is we need to download. You can say Eclipse. So download. Look, we have different versions of Eclipse being present in the market. Fine. Currently, my version is Luna, I think. Yeah, I'm using Luna. So you can use anyone, but I think I'll recommend if you use Luna, because so that we can be in sync. Fine. So look, these are all the different versions present. You can download any one that you are being comfortable. Fine. Eclipse comes with a n number of options. You have Neon, you have Chi, you have Orion. So there are many Eclipse versions. All are pretty same. There's nothing like that someone behaves differently and someone behaves differently. Fine. So now I think you are good with Eclipse also. Okay. Now we are good with this Eclipse stuff. Look, I'm not emphasizing more on this downloading stuff, because I think this is pretty simple task, and I think we should not go in so much of depth of only downloading the stuff. Fine, you just download it, install it. If anyone amongst you face any issue, any challenge, just come to me. I can solve one by one. Fine. So that's why I'm not concentrating more on this stuff, this of downloading stuff. Fine. Look, now we are pretty good. We have downloaded Eclipse, we have downloaded Java, we have installed both the stuff. Now what is the next step? Fine. The next step is that we need to have Android Studio in our system. Fine. So I'll go to the official website of Android. Okay, I can give you my contact number also, and okay, wait. Look, I have shared my personal number on the chat window. You can call me, and if I'm available, I can. If we can also sync over the Skype or WebEx, any medium that is comfortable. If it's a small issue, I'll resolve it by call. If not, then we can sync over Skype or WebEx also. Fine. So you can just place my keep my number. My good name is Aditya. Okay. I'm available. I'm available from 9 to 9. Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. Actually, I'll share a Skype ID that would be common. Fine. I'll share a Skype ID very soon. Fine. So moving further, fine. We are good with the two stuff now. What we need to do is now we need to download the, you can say, Android. So simply click here, download Android Studio. So it will take me, look, this is the second link, that is developer.android.com. Look, this developer.android.com, this is the official website of Android provided by Google. Fine. So any stuff related Android, we would be covering from this only. Like I was talking of a term with the name of UI automation yesterday. Fine. That how Appium automate. That also we would be going to this site, and I would be referring the data from here. So this is the official stuff that is being given by Google. Okay. So just tap over here, and for your convenience, I'll also share the link. Okay. So look, in this case, you have the option of, it is saying that download Android Studio. Fine. And it is of 1876 MB, means more than a GB. So depending on your internet connection, it will take some time. Fine. So what I recommend is have a good internet connection while you are just configuring all this stuff, while you're downloading Java, Eclipse, Studio, configuring it. Just try to have a good internet connection, because look, look, in the earlier versions, your SDK were pretty good, but now what Android has done is they say that you need to install Android Studio also. Fine. Why we need to install Android Studio? Because earlier the SDK was serving the purpose. Now they have just bundled the SDK into Studio only. So for this you need to have Android Studio if you need to get the SDK. Fine. So Studio is important. And second thing is, if I talk of the latest updates of the SDK, look, if you have the Studio installed in your system and Android installed in your system, only then your SDK gets updated. If you'll go with the latest SDK versions. Look, the previous SDK was working without Studio also. You don't need to have that Studio stuff. You don't need to download this Android Studio. But now, likewise, Apple has made it compulsory that you need to have Xcode. Fine. Similarly, Google has also made compulsory that you need to have Android Studio in your machine. Fine. So you need to download this Android Studio if you want to have your you can say SDK from that. So what we will do is, after downloading the Studio, I'll extract the SDK from the Studio only. Fine. So tap over it. Fine. I have already done it, so I won't do it again. So look, after downloading all this stuff, fine. What I need to do is, the main thing I'll do is, I'll first of all, look, I have Java present in my machine, but Java is only present. It is not configurable. There are two different aspects. One is I have downloaded the stuff and I have installed it. Another is I have downloaded the stuff, I have installed it, and I have configured it in my machine. Fine. So there is a difference between both of the statement. So what will I do here is, look in my, you can say in my C drive with the program files, I have Java. Fine. So the Java is basically present for me. So what you need to do here is, just wait. Okay. Look, we don't need. I'll explain you again what was error here. If I go to program x86, I have Java. This is JRE. Fine. I don't need to use JRE. Look, this JRE. We need to have JDK. Fine. There is a difference between JRE and JDK. JDK means Java Development Kit, and JRE is Java Runtime Environment. So don't get confused in both the things. You need to have JDK. JDK is very important. So my JDK is present in my program files. Fine. Here also I have placed my JDK here. Look, I have different versions of Java in my machine. I have Java 1.6. I have Java 1.8. Look, if I'll come back and show you. If I go to my program files, fine. Inside here I have a Java folder, and here I have JDK 1.6 and JRE 6. I have both the things, but ensure that you should have JDK in your machine. The only JRE will not work. Fine, because look, this depends on the requirement. When I was using the earlier versions of Appium, that was only compatible with JDK 1.6. So I have those versions. After that, Java 8 came into the picture. Fine, and then I installed Java 8. Sorry, JDK 8. Fine. So you need to check that. Look, I have given you a link of JDK 8 only, so you don't need to worry of that Java 6. We would be dealing with Java 8 because Java 8 is the latest one. Fine. I would be covering only the stuff that are being latest in the market. We won't be covering the stuff that is obsolete. Like Java 6 is going to be obsolete. Fine. So I will be only concentrating and focusing on the latest stuff. So inside my JDK 1.8, just tap over it. You have a bin folder. Okay. Again, click over it. Now just copy this path. Fine. After copying your path, look, I have this bin folder shows that my Java is installed in my machine. Look, I gave two statements. One is the Java is downloaded and installed. Another is Java is downloaded, installed, and configured. My first step is over. It is downloaded and it is installed. The proof is this, that I can see it. Fine. Now I need to move to the second step. I need to configure it in my machine. So copy it. Just go to your computer and go to the properties. Okay. So in your properties, just click over this advanced system settings. In your excuse me. So in our advanced systems settings, I have some properties. In properties, I need to tap over this environment variables. Fine. So here, what I need to do is I need to make my Java home. Fine. Look, there are two ways of making this. Not making it. The proper word would be that there are two ways of configuring your Java. The first approach is that you can make Java home variable and then work over it. Secondly, you can just directly set your path of your this JDK bin in your path. Fine. I'll elaborate the statement what I'm trying to explain. Fine. Just be with me. So I have my system variables. Similarly, I have my user variables. So in my system variables, what I need to do is I need to click over new and need to give the variable name, the name of Java home, and inside this I'll pass my Java. Okay, so after that I need to click over OK. Look, I have already done this, so I won't click OK again. Okay, I have already made this Java home. So after making this Java home, what I need to do is I need to search this path. Okay, come to this path, click over edit option. Guys, don't fiddle up with your path variable. Fine, if you have entered something wrong or you have deleted anything in your path, your Windows will get corrupt. Your Windows will not work. Fine, you have to reinstall your Windows. So be very sure, be very specific while you're dealing with your this path variable. Okay, so what you need to do here is likewise I'll show you what I have done is this is the way you need to configure your Java home. Fine, percentile, then your name of your variable, and then percentile. Wait, let me copy and paste in Notepad. Fine, so this is the way where I'm configuring my Java home. Look, percentile, Java home, percentile, that's it. Pretty simple as that. Okay, so this is a way that my you can say it will say that my Java would be properly configured. Fine, I'm good with configuring my Java and all that stuff. Now I'll move further. My Java is configured. Okay, let me go and check. Okay, Rishabh, let me check it. Let me check it, Rishabh. Yeah, yeah, thanks, Rishabh. Look here, here I need to mention bin also. Thanks. So the Java home has to be till this bin folder. Okay. So after that, you just need to give your percentile Java percentile, and this will work for you. Look, now we are good with this configuring of Java home. Look, first of all, thanks, Rishabh. You pointed out a small error. Look, while I was pasting my Java home, I forgot the path till bin. The bin also has to be mentioned. I copied the bin, but while pasting it, I mistakenly removed this bin. It has to be till your bin folder. Fine. Now the question would be why till the bin folder? Okay. Let me come back in your Android. Look, inside my this bin, I have java.exe. This is present here, and this Java C is present. So basically, when I'll go to my command prompt and run this Java, I'll just give the Java command. It will tell me that whether my Java is configured or not, and then I can use that Java into my machine. Fine. So you need to give the path to your bin folder. It is very important. Fine. So let me come back. So we are pretty good with this stuff. Till this stuff we are good enough. So now what we need to do is we have downloaded our, you can say, Android Studio. Let me open it. Look, I'm opening my Android Studio, and look, the Studio is pretty heavy one, so it will basically down the line slow my system. So just be with me on this stuff. So after opening my Studio, fine, I would be given a prompt of, you can say, my, you can say, SDK tools. Fine. So as it is taking some time, so I'll manually go to the location where my SDK is present. Look, this is the path where my Android Studio is present in my F drive. So in my F drive, if I go, I have Android Studio. and then I have the path of this. You can say this is the path of my Android Studio. These are different packages being present, the tools and all that stuff. This is being present in my Android SDK. Fine, this is the path you can say of my SDK. So now what I need to do is, look, I have downloaded my stuff. I have my Android. One thing more, guys, after installing, when you would be downloading your Android and when you will be installing it, fine, it will give you a window that whether you want to download all your SDKs or not. Fine. So ensure that you have downloaded all the latest SDKs. Fine. So go on downloading that stuff. That's why I'm saying that it will take it will basically take 30 minutes to 45 minutes depending on your internet speed. So download all the stuff. Okay. So after downloading all the things, you would be given that these are the different SDK tools that would be present. Let me see. Okay, my Android is getting opened. Okay, just wait, let it get fully opened. So after you have downloaded your studio, and it will look like this. Fine, this would be the look like feature of the your Android Studio. So after this, look, you can see this download button here. So you need to tap over this button so that you can download all of the latest SDKs. Fine. Okay, let it load. Okay, just wait for a few seconds. Studio is pretty heavy. Look, I tapped over this button, and now look, it will open this SDK for me. So what you need to do is, we have an option of launch standalone SDK manager. Okay, so tap over this stuff. It will open the standalone SDK manager for us. Okay, so let it do. It will take some time. Okay, depending on your internet and your system configuration, whether it's a 4 GB or 8 GB and all that stuff. So look, I am presented with this screen, and I think this screen would you all would be pretty familiar because this is the older one only. Fine, you might have installed Android or SDK, something like that. So this is the same one. Fine. So look, what you need to ensure is you have your latest 25.2.5 installed in your machine. Fine. If you want to install this also 25.0.4, this is pretty fine. But what I recommend is you should have the latest one. Latest one should be present in your machine. So similarly down the line, if I come down, just try to install like 6.0, Marshmallow and Nougat. This 7.0, just tap over this stuff and then tap over the 6.0 and come down. You don't need to install anything else. Then come in extras. In your extras, what you need to have is ensure that you have your Google Play services properly installed. If your Google Play services is not installed, look, your Google Maps will not work. Your phone will, your code which you will write supposed to detect the location or something like that, that will not work. Fine. All the stuff that are location based, basically, that used to fetch your location and show, that will not work. So you need to have Google Play services properly configured in your machine. Similarly, you need to have this support library. Look, down the line we would be using all this stuff in our Appium. You can say in another terms that suppose I'm automating my Appium and I want to extract the ID, XPath, and so in all those cases, fine, by class name, I would be using the support library in those cases. Look, sometimes my XPath do not work, my ID do not work. So in those cases, this support library will serve the purpose. So just ensure that you have all this stuff. Fine, because look, after this class, I'll also update all my stuff. So what I recommend is you also go with the same procedure. And after that, click over install 27 packages. Just click over this at the top and accept license and then install it. Fine. I won't do it right now because it will slow down my internet and my system. I don't want that it should hamper the class. Fine. So this is the whole mechanism of, you can say, downloading Android Studio and then downloading the latest SDKs for the studio. Fine. So this I'll cancel over it, close it. Look, if you want, I can again explain you the approach that how I came here. Fine, because this is very important. So this icon present at the top, you will be presented with a new window. Again, you have the option of launch standalone SDK manager. Click over this and the rest of the story is known to you, what you need to do here. Fine. So I think you are pretty good with this Android Studio also. We have latest Studio and all that stuff. So on the similar ground, wait, Rajiv, I missed. Behind Android screen, Eclipse window is there. No, there is no Eclipse. Eclipse is not present here. Look, this is my Eclipse. I have even not opened my Eclipse, so there is no Eclipse window. Yeah. Okay, I'll explain it again. Yeah, just wait. Look, this is my Android Studio. Fine. When you will open your Android Studio, na, this will look like this. This would be your studio. Inside your studio, I have a top navigation. This is my top navigation. And at last, I have a question mark that is a help icon. And before that, I have an option of SDK manager. If I'll bring my hover over it, it will say SDK manager. Fine. Now I have, look, at this instance of time, I am not linking with anything with the Eclipse. So I'm just trying to download the SDK manager. Fine, I'm just downloading the SDK. After downloading my SDK, now I'll come to the Eclipse. Eclipse is the secondary, because earlier what we used to do is we used to the developer console, we used to extract the SDK, we update the SDK and we place it in our Eclipse. But right now, as this SDK is already bundled up in my Android Studio and I cannot update it manually, so I need to install this studio, install this studio and click over it, and then look, there is nothing Eclipse right now. Everything is studio only. So launch. Okay, Rajiv. So there you go. Fine. So I think we are pretty good with this Android stuff. Fine. Look, what Google tries to do is they just try to emulate their stuff again and again. Yeah, Sachin? Okay, wait. So do you have the latest studio? You need to have the latest studio. Okay, no issues. Look, if you don't have your option of launch standalone SDK manager, no issues with that. You have this option of SDK tools, right? You can do the same stuff here also. Look, I just went to this launch SDK manager because look, the main reason for this was because after this, when I tap over it, the window was quite the familiar one, because you have seen this window in your previous SDK tools also. So that's why I tapped over it. But no issues if your system, if your studio do not contain this SDK tools. No, this launch standalone SDK manager option. Just go to your SDK tools. It is also the same, and you can download it from here also. Serves the same purpose, nothing different. Fine. So after this, Now I have downloaded the stuff. I have my latest SDK and all that stuff is being present with me. Now I need to do the two things. First of all, I need to set my Android home. Similarly, look, I have downloaded Android. It's pretty good. Fine, it is cool. I have installed it. I have my latest SDK. Now I need to use that SDK. Fine. So similar to Java, I have downloaded it. I have installed it. Now I need to configure my SDK. I'm not saying that I need to configure my Android Studio, but I need to configure my SDK. So here, this is the path of my SDK. Okay. So just copy this path and close it. Now even I don't need my studio. Look, I close the studio. Okay, I open it again. Look, the another advantage of the studio would be, like I was explaining you, that suppose you are automating an app, fine, and there are some crash logs and something like that. Even that studio will help you to show those logs to your developer also. Fine. I'll start it again. It will take some time. Okay, let it start. So the next step is configuring Android Studio. Sorry, not configuring Android Studio. Configuring the SDK tools. So similar ground, I'll go here. I'll go to my computer, properties, advanced settings. Procedure is pretty same. Okay. So if I come here, similarly, I have set my Java home. Fine, I set my Android home here. Type over new here, Android home, and give the path of your Android Studio. Oh, sorry, Android SDK. Okay. So it is present inside my F drive. I have a folder with the name of Android Studio, and in that I have Android SDK. So tap over OK button. I already have it, so I will not do it. Okay. So this is the stuff for my Android. So it is working. Now I need to again go to my path variable and set the path of this Android home as I did in case of Java. But there is a small catch here. Inside my Android home, I need to get the path of two things. One is this platform, fine, and I have tools. Excuse me. So I have these two different things. I need to give the path of both of them. Fine. So we'll go for a simple smart move. Just go to your path, click over edit, similarly copy it and open it here. Fine. I'll look. This is a way. So look, percentile, Android home, percentile, and after that tools. Fine. Similarly, percentile, Android home, and then platform tools. Excuse me. Sorry. If I'll come back to my Android SDK, this is my SDK. Look, I need to give the path of these tools also. So look, this path was pretty same, like F Android Studio and Android SDK. This path is already present in my Android home. Fine. I just need to add these tools. So the slash tools I need to add. So if I go back here, percentile Android home is already present and this slash tools. Similarly, if I come back, I have platform tools. I have the path still Android SDK. I just need to add this slash platform tools. So similarly, I'll add here slash platform tools. Fine, got it? So just try to go with the mirror image of the same. Fine. And similarly, just go back here, click over OK, and then again click over OK. So in this way, you can say your Java and your SDK would be properly downloaded, installed, and configured. Fine. So I think at till this stuff of time we are properly good and we have configured each and everything. So now what we need to do is, now we need to check that because look, I have configured each and everything in my machine. Now I need to go to the Eclipse. I'll go to Eclipse and I'll pass the, you can say, my path of Android SDK. Fine, because at the end, look, I am going to code with Eclipse only. This all this Android Studio and all that stuff. So only I did all this stuff only to extract the SDK and to update my SDK. This was the only reason behind it. Fine. So if I come back to my studio, look, in your Android Studio you have an option of Android Monitor. Fine. If I'll tap over this Android Monitor, it will show me the logs. Fine. Look, it is just trying to initialize. Look, this is my device, Samsung SMEH and 5.1.1. Look, even with the API level of my device, API level is 22. This is not the API level of my device. This is this target API level. Fine. That developer used to give in their code. Look, at the start of class also I was saying that developer used to talk in terms of API levels only. That okay, my build is compatible with API level 22. So look, in this case, it's great. I have opened this window. I was talking about this stuff like minimum SDK is 15. He will say that my build will start working from 15 till 22. So this is the previous stuff. Nowadays, they used to go for 16 and 25. Okay. So this depends upon your business requirement or something like that. You can make anything. So these are the logs. Suppose if your build will crash, you can just copy the logs from here. Fine. Just Control C, paste it in your email and give it to your developer. On the similar terms, you okay. Let me decrease the zoom level. And then you can also show him that look, this is your app. This is working on a real device. It is crashing here, and these are your crash logs. And it would make the life of you and your developer very, very easy. Look, this is the main difference between an automation engineer and a manual engineer. Automation engineer is more and more technical. Fine. So as an automation engineer, you should also talk with the developer in terms of this, like, okay, this is the API level, these are the crash logs, I have this studio. So you should have a basic knowledge. I don't say that, okay, just go in depth knowledge of this Android Studio and all that stuff, but at least have a basic knowledge so that while you are just trying to automate, or you even if you are not going for a automation also, you're going for a manual testing also, still this will help. Because look, at this instance of time, I have not started automation. This is just a manual. I can just write, I can just manually test the app, and I can give the logs, and I can show him this was the way the build was crashing. Fine. So tomorrow what we'll be doing is we will be dealing with how to configure this SDK into my Eclipse and how to check whether my Android and Java is properly installed or not. So I also need to check this stuff. So we will be covering this stuff in our next class. Okay. Thanks for joining. Any doubts or something like that?